Have you ever wondered how some people seem to remain calm and happy no matter what life throws their way? Why do some people stay peaceful even in the face of challenges, while others struggle with every little setback? What's the secret to maintaining happiness, no matter the situation? Think about it. On a busy morning, when everything seems to go wrong, how often do you find yourself caught in frustration or anxiety? But what if you could train your mind to respond differently? Imagine being able to stay happy even when things don't go as planned. Wouldn't that be life-changing? For example, let's say you're stuck in traffic. The old you might have gotten irritated, thinking of all the time wasted. But the new you, practicing a simple technique, might stay calm, find peace in the moment, and even enjoy the extra time to relax. It's all about shifting your perspective, and that's where wisdom comes in. Welcome to Wisdom Woven. Here, we dive into life-changing teachings and insights that will help you live a happier, more peaceful life. This channel is all about discovering ways to find joy, peace, and balance in every situation, no matter what's happening around you. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of viewers subscribe. If you're enjoying the content and want to stay updated with our latest wisdom-filled videos, please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to our channel. It really helps us bring more value to you. Now, let's dive into the heart of our video. The key to staying happy in every situation. How can you train yourself to remain calm, peaceful, and content, no matter what's happening in your life? Let's explore the powerful teachings that have helped millions find peace through the wisdom of Buddhism. Stay with us, because these insights could be exactly what you've been searching for. Understanding the roots of suffering. In life, we all face struggles, emotional pain, disappointments, stress, and loss. Have you ever wondered why we experience suffering in the first place? What is it that causes us to feel unhappy, frustrated, or sad? To understand how we can stay happy in every situation, we need to first explore where suffering comes from. Only by recognizing the root causes can we begin to free ourselves from them. Buddhism teaches that suffering, or dukkha, is an inevitable part of life. But it also teaches us that suffering doesn't have to control us. In fact, understanding the nature of suffering is the first step toward ending it. The Buddha, who is the founder of Buddhism, shared a simple yet profound truth. Suffering arises because we are attached to things that are fleeting and constantly changing. Think about this for a moment. How often do we attach ourselves to things that are temporary? Whether it's material possessions, a specific outcome, or even a certain feeling or experience. We might desire a perfect job, a certain amount of money, or the approval of others. We become attached to these things, believing that they will bring us lasting happiness. But the truth is, they are all impermanent. Jobs can be lost, money can disappear, and people's opinions can change. When these things inevitably change or fade, we experience suffering. Now, you might be thinking, but don't we need these things to feel happy? And the answer is no, not really. While it's natural to have desires and wants, Buddhism teaches us that attachment is the root cause of suffering. When we become too attached to the idea that we must have something to be happy, we set ourselves up for disappointment. In reality, true happiness comes from within, not from external sources. There's a powerful story in Buddhism about a man who was suffering deeply because he had lost everything. His wealth, his home, his family, everything was gone. He went to a Zen master and said, "Master, I feel like my world is falling apart. I am in constant pain because I no longer have what I once had. How can I ever be happy again?" The Zen master looked at him with a gentle smile and said, "What you have lost were all things that were never truly yours. They were borrowed from life itself. True happiness comes not from what you have, but from what you let go of." This story is a powerful reminder that the things we hold on to, whether they are material possessions, relationships, or even emotions, are not the source of our happiness. Happiness comes when we let go of our attachments and stop relying on things outside of ourselves to bring us peace. To truly understand suffering, we must also look at how our minds work. Our thoughts, emotions, and reactions are often the biggest sources of our pain. Have you ever noticed how a simple thought can make you feel stressed, angry, or sad? A thought might pop into your head, and before you know it, You're caught up in a whirlwind of negative emotions. The mind has a tendency to dwell on the past or worry about the future, creating unnecessary suffering in the present. Buddhism teaches us to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. When a negative thought arises, instead of reacting to it, we can simply observe it as if it's a cloud passing by. This practice is called mindfulness, being fully aware of the present moment without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, we begin to understand that our thoughts do not define us. They are simply passing moments, and we don't need to attach ourselves to them. The Buddha also taught about the concept of desire, which is closely linked to suffering. Desire is not inherently bad. It's part of being human. But when we constantly desire things, we are never truly content. We are always reaching for something else, believing that once we have it, we will be happy. But the cycle never ends. When we get what we want, we find something new to desire, and the cycle repeats itself. True happiness, according to Buddhism, comes from freeing ourselves from this cycle of desire. Instead of constantly wanting more, we can cultivate contentment with what we already have. This doesn't mean we stop working for goals or improving ourselves. It simply means that we stop relying on external achievements to bring us lasting happiness. Another important aspect of suffering is how we react to pain and challenges. We all face difficulties in life, whether it's physical pain, emotional hardship, or life's unexpected changes. It's natural to resist pain, to try and avoid it, but resistance often makes the pain worse. Imagine holding on to something hot. Your hand will hurt more the longer you hold on. The same happens when we resist suffering. We struggle against it, and in doing so, we increase our pain. Buddhism teaches us to embrace suffering, not by ignoring it or pretending it doesn't hurt, but by accepting it as part of the human experience. When we stop resisting pain and accept it with openness, it loses much of its power over us. We can face even the toughest challenges with a sense of inner peace, knowing that suffering is temporary and that it will pass. You might wonder, how does this knowledge help us stay happy? Well, the key is understanding that suffering doesn't last forever. Everything in life is temporary. The Buddha taught that all things, including our suffering, are impermanent. By recognizing this truth, we can begin to detach ourselves from the constant craving for things to stay the same or for our pain to go away. Instead, we learn to flow with life's natural rhythms, accepting both the good and the bad as part of our journey. When we understand the roots of suffering, we can also begin to understand the path to happiness. It's not about avoiding difficulties or trying to make everything perfect. It's about accepting the imperfections of life and finding peace in the midst of them. Happiness is not something we achieve by getting everything we want. It's something we discover when we let go of our attachments, our desires, and our resistance to life's challenges. As we explore more of these teachings, we'll begin to see that the path to happiness is not about seeking something outside ourselves. It's about looking inward, cultivating a calm and peaceful mind, and learning to let go of everything that holds us back from true contentment. By understanding the roots of suffering, we take the first step toward healing and happiness. And once we recognize these roots, we can start to transform our minds and lives, allowing us to stay happy no matter what happens around us. In the next part, we'll explore the practice of mindfulness, a powerful tool that can help us stay grounded and present, no matter the circumstances. Stay tuned for more insights on how to create lasting happiness in your life. The power of mindfulness in daily life. Mindfulness. It's a word we hear often, but what does it really mean? Can we truly practice it in our busy lives? Let me tell you, mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools we can use to stay happy and balanced, no matter what is happening around us. And the best part is, it's something we can practice every day, in everything we do. At its core, mindfulness is simply the act of being fully present. It means paying attention to what's happening right now, without getting lost in the past or worrying about the future. It's about observing your thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. Imagine for a moment, how often do you find yourself thinking about something that happened earlier in the day, or stressing about something that might happen later? It's natural, but it takes us out of the present moment. When we live in the past or future, we miss the richness of the now. Let's take a simple example. You're washing your hands. Instead of just rushing through it while your mind drifts elsewhere, try to pay attention to every sensation. Feel the water on your skin. Listen to the sound of the water flowing. Notice the texture of the soap. When you do this, you're practicing mindfulness. And when you practice mindfulness, you're grounding yourself in the present moment. This practice can be applied to anything. Whether you're eating, walking, talking, or even just breathing, mindfulness is the key to bringing more awareness into your daily life. It helps you step back and notice your thoughts and emotions as they arise, rather than automatically reacting to them. It allows you to experience life in its purest form, without distractions or unnecessary worries. In Buddhism, mindfulness is one of the most important practices. It's called sati in Pali, the language of early Buddhist texts. It's the practice of being aware, of paying attention to the present moment, and of being fully engaged in whatever you are doing. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is essential for understanding the nature of our minds and the world around us. By being mindful, we can see things clearly, without the distortions of our desires, fears, or judgments. Now, you might be thinking, I'm too busy for mindfulness. How can I do this with my hectic schedule? The beauty of mindfulness is that you can practice it anytime, anywhere. It doesn't require special equipment or even a lot of time. You can practice mindfulness while commuting, while waiting in line, or while doing household chores. In fact, these everyday moments offer the perfect opportunities to be mindful. One of the most profound aspects of mindfulness is how it helps us respond to life's challenges. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed or stressed. How did you react? Did you let those emotions take over, or did you pause and observe them? When we're mindful, we don't immediately react. Instead, we create a space between the event and our response. In that space, we can choose how we want to react. And this choice gives us the power to stay calm, peaceful, and happy, no matter what's going on around us. Mindfulness also allows us to see our habitual patterns. We all have patterns of thinking and reacting that we've developed over the years. Some of these patterns serve us well, but others, like worrying, judging, or getting upset, can cause us unnecessary stress. Mindfulness helps us notice these patterns without getting caught in them. It's like stepping back and observing yourself from a distance. Once we notice our habits, we can decide whether we want to continue them or let them go. Another incredible benefit of mindfulness is that it strengthens our ability to focus. In our world of constant distractions, it can be hard to stay focused on one thing for more than a few minutes. But when we practice mindfulness, we train our minds to stay present. This strengthens our concentration and helps us be more effective in whatever we do. Whether you're working, studying, or even just spending time with family, mindfulness allows you to give your full attention to what matters most. You might also be wondering, what about my emotions? Can mindfulness help with those? Absolutely. Mindfulness helps us become more aware of our emotions, but it doesn't stop there. It teaches us not to be controlled by them. Instead of suppressing or ignoring emotions like anger, sadness, or fear, mindfulness encourages us to acknowledge them without judgment. By simply observing our emotions as they arise, we can create a sense of distance from them. This distance gives us the clarity to respond more skillfully, rather than reacting impulsively. One of the most beautiful aspects of mindfulness is that it brings us closer to ourselves. In today's world, we often feel disconnected, distracted, or lost in the noise of daily life. But mindfulness allows us to reconnect with who we truly are. It helps us understand our thoughts, our feelings, and our deeper desires. And when we understand ourselves better, we can live in a way that aligns with our true values, rather than being swept away by external circumstances. Mindfulness is also a powerful tool for cultivating gratitude. When we're fully present, we begin to notice the little things. The smile of a stranger, the beauty of a sunset, the warmth of a cup of tea. These small moments become the foundation for our happiness. When we practice mindfulness, we shift our focus from what we don't have to what we do have, and this shift is what opens the door to contentment. Let's now talk about how mindfulness can help us stay happy in every situation. The truth is, life is full of ups and downs. There will be times of joy, and there will be times of difficulty. But mindfulness teaches us that we don't have to be defined by our circumstances. We can find peace even in the middle of chaos. The key is not to get caught up in the drama of life. Instead, mindfulness invites us to stay grounded in the present moment, no matter what is happening around us. When we practice mindfulness, we start to see that everything is temporary. Our thoughts, our emotions, and our experiences all come and go. This realization gives us the ability to detach from our reactions and find peace within ourselves. We begin to understand that nothing lasts forever, not the good moments and not the difficult ones. And when we embrace this impermanence, we can experience life with greater ease and acceptance. In conclusion, mindfulness is not just a practice, it's a way of living. It helps us stay calm, focused, and happy, no matter what challenges arise. It teaches us to be present with ourselves, to appreciate the small moments, and to respond to life's ups and downs with wisdom and grace. And the best part is, it's a practice that anyone can do, anywhere, anytime. All we have to do is start. The Four Noble Truths, a guide to inner peace. Imagine waking up each day feeling at peace, free from the constant worry and frustration that often fills our minds. Now, think about how different life would be if you could carry that calm with you throughout the day, no matter what happens. This is the kind of inner peace we all desire, yet many of us struggle to find. The truth is, lasting happiness doesn't come from external circumstances. It comes from within. And this is where the wisdom of the Buddha's Four Noble Truths comes in. The Four Noble Truths are the foundation of Buddhist philosophy. They are a simple yet profound way of understanding the nature of suffering and how to overcome it. These truths provide a roadmap to a life filled with peace and contentment, no matter what external challenges you face. The first noble truth is the truth of suffering, or dukkha. This doesn't mean that life is only about pain and sadness, but rather that suffering is a natural part of human existence. It's not just the obvious forms of pain, like illness, loss, or heartbreak, but also the subtle suffering we experience every day. Think about how often we feel dissatisfaction, the desire for things to be different, for life to go according to our plans. This longing and frustration create an underlying sense of unease. The Buddha teaches that suffering is inevitable, but it doesn't have to define us. By acknowledging this truth, we take the first step toward freedom. The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering, or samudaya. According to the Buddha, the root cause of suffering is attachment. We become attached to things, people, outcomes, possessions, and when those things change or disappear, we suffer. Our desires and cravings keep us trapped in this cycle. Think about it. When we hold on to something too tightly, it becomes a source of stress. Whether it's a desire for material wealth, success, or even approval from others, these attachments create anxiety. The Buddha's insight was that it is not the objects of our desire themselves that cause suffering, but our attachment to them. The good news is that we have the power to let go of these attachments, and in doing so, reduce our suffering. The third noble truth is the truth of the cessation of suffering, or nirodha. This is the most hopeful and transformative truth. It tells us that suffering can end. Yes, it's possible to live without the constant weight of frustration, fear, and desire dragging us down. The key to ending suffering lies in letting go of attachment and craving. When we stop chasing after things, when we stop seeking fulfillment from external sources, we find an inner peace that is unshakable. This doesn't mean we stop caring about anything. It simply means we learn to approach life with a sense of detachment, understanding that nothing is permanent. By accepting things as they are, we free ourselves from the cycle of desire and suffering. The fourth noble truth is the truth of the path that leads to the cessation of suffering, or magga. This is the practical part of the Buddha's teachings, showing us the way forward. It is known as the Noble Eightfold Path, a set of ethical and mental practices that lead to enlightenment. The Eightfold Path includes right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Let's break these down. Right understanding, this means understanding the nature of reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. It's about seeing the world clearly, without the distortions created by our desires, fears, and attachments. When we understand the Four Noble Truths, we gain a deeper understanding of life itself. Right intention, this involves cultivating thoughts of love, kindness, and compassion, and avoiding thoughts of hatred, greed, and selfishness. Right intention is about having pure and selfless desires in our hearts, with the goal of helping others and promoting peace. Right speech. This means speaking truthfully and kindly. It's about avoiding lies, gossip, and hurtful words. Our speech has the power to uplift or harm, so it's important to use it wisely. Right action. Right action is about living ethically. This includes avoiding harm to others, being honest, and making decisions that align with our values. It's about doing what's right, not just what's easy or convenient. Right livelihood. This refers to making a living in a way that does not cause harm to others. It's about finding work that aligns with our values and helps contribute to the well-being of others. Right effort. Right effort involves making a conscious effort to improve ourselves. It's about cultivating positive qualities and abandoning negative habits. This takes consistent work, but over time, it leads to growth and transformation. Right mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment. It's about observing our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. When we cultivate mindfulness, we begin to see things as they truly are, which helps us avoid unnecessary suffering. Right concentration. This is the practice of focusing the mind through meditation. Right concentration helps us develop mental clarity and calm, allowing us to see through the distractions and stresses of life. By following the Eightfold Path, we can live a life free from unnecessary suffering. It's not a one-time fix. It's a continuous journey of self-improvement and mindfulness. But over time, the path leads us closer to the ultimate goal of enlightenment, living a life of wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. The Four Noble Truths give us a clear understanding of why we suffer and a practical path to overcome it. They don't promise that life will be without challenges, but they show us how to approach life with wisdom and compassion so that we can face even the most difficult situations with a calm and peaceful mind. The key is not to avoid suffering, but to transform how we respond to it. By embracing the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, we can experience a profound shift in our lives, finding peace in the midst of the storms that inevitably come our way. In the end, the Four Noble Truths are not just theoretical ideas. They are practical tools for creating a more peaceful, joyful life. When we learn to see suffering for what it is, understand its causes, and follow the path to its cessation, we unlock the ability to live with greater freedom and happiness. And the best part? This peace is always within our reach, right here and now, no matter what our circumstances may be. Mastering the art of non-attachment. Let's dive into one of the most powerful concepts in Buddhism, non-attachment. It may sound strange at first. How can you live a fulfilling life without getting attached to things, people, or outcomes? Doesn't attachment drive us to work harder, to love deeper, and to care more? The truth is, non-attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. Instead, it's about letting go of the unnecessary weight that attachments bring and learning how to live in a way that allows for greater peace and freedom. Non-attachment is not about detaching yourself from the world or the people around you. It's about understanding that nothing is permanent. Whether it's a material object, a relationship, or even a feeling you're experiencing, everything is in a constant state of change. The more we cling to things, the more we suffer when they change or leave us. That's why, if we want to be truly happy, we must learn to let go of the things that we're holding on to too tightly. Think about it. When you hold on to something too tightly, what happens? It slips from your hands. When you grip something in fear of losing it, you create resistance. Similarly, when you are overly attached to a specific outcome, you are setting yourself up for disappointment if things don't turn out the way you expect. But when you practice non-attachment, you are able to let things flow freely and be content with whatever happens. The teachings of the Buddha emphasize that attachment to desires and outcomes is one of the root causes of suffering. When you expect life to go a certain way, and it doesn't, your mind becomes upset. But by practicing non-attachment, you let go of that need to control and embrace life as it comes. You realize that true happiness doesn't come from holding on to things or people, but from accepting the impermanence of life. In Buddhism, the term detachment is often misunderstood. It's not about rejecting or ignoring the world around us. It's about not letting the world control your inner peace. Think of it like holding a flower in your hand. You can enjoy its beauty, its fragrance, and its presence, but if you grip it too tightly, you'll crush it. The key is to appreciate the moment without needing to control it. Non-attachment allows us to enjoy life fully without being overwhelmed by it. Let's take an example. Imagine you have a favorite possession, maybe an old watch or a gift someone gave you. You love this object because of the memories and the emotions attached to it. But one day, it breaks or gets lost. If you're attached to it, this loss will bring you sadness and frustration. However, if you practice non-attachment, you understand that everything is temporary. You accept the loss with grace, knowing that the memories or the feelings are what truly matter, not the object itself. Non-attachment to relationships can also be transformative. We all have relationships in our lives, family, friends, partners, that are meaningful and important to us. But if we become overly attached to the idea of how things should be, or if we start to define our happiness by the behavior of others, we can end up causing ourselves unnecessary pain. People change, circumstances change, and that's okay. When you accept the impermanence of relationships, you can appreciate them more fully without the fear of losing them. You can love deeply, but without trying to control or cling. Now, let's consider non-attachment to success and failure. In our busy world, many of us define our worth by our achievements. We get attached to success, thinking that it will bring us happiness. But success is fleeting, and so is failure. When we become attached to either, we create inner turmoil. If we succeed, we fear losing it. If we fail, we feel worthless. But when we embrace non-attachment, we learn that our value is not tied to any external achievement. Whether you're winning or losing, your inner peace remains intact because you've detached yourself from the idea that success or failure defines who you are. Non-attachment also frees us from the pain of attachment to the past. Many people are weighed down by past experiences, whether it's past mistakes, past relationships, or past regrets. These attachments can keep us stuck, preventing us from moving forward. Non-attachment allows us to let go of those past memories and look ahead with hope. It doesn't mean forgetting the past, but rather accepting it and learning from it without letting it control your present life. Another important part of non-attachment is non-attachment to emotions. We all have emotions, anger, fear, sadness, joy, that arise in response to situations. But when we attach to these emotions, we let them control our behavior and our mood. If you get angry and think, "I am angry," you become one with that emotion. You let it take over. But when you practice non-attachment to emotions, you realize that emotions are just passing experiences. They come and go, and they do not define you. You can feel sadness or anger without letting it rule your life. You can choose how to respond, not react automatically. In your day-to-day life, practicing non-attachment can lead to profound changes. It's about developing the ability to live with an open heart, without the heavy burden of needing things to be a certain way. The more you detach from the need for things to be perfect, the more freedom you experience. You stop trying to control everything around you, and you start to find peace in the flow of life. How can we start practicing non-attachment? It's a gradual process, not an overnight change. Start by becoming aware of the things you are attached to. Are there possessions, relationships, or outcomes that you're holding onto too tightly? Reflect on how these attachments make you feel. Do they bring peace or stress? The goal is not to force yourself to let go of everything at once, but to begin loosening your grip little by little. One simple practice is to take a step back and observe your feelings and thoughts without judgment. For example, when you feel upset over something you can't control, try to take a deep breath and remind yourself that nothing is permanent. This moment, too, will pass. When you learn to detach from the immediate impulse of your emotions, you can respond with more clarity and calm. Over time, you'll notice that you begin to experience more inner peace. The less you cling to external things, the more you realize that true happiness lies within you. You don't need to have everything under control or hold on to things tightly to feel safe or happy. When you let go of attachments, you make room for something far greater: freedom. Freedom to experience life fully, without the fear of loss or disappointment. Ultimately, non-attachment isn't about rejecting life. It's about accepting life as it is. Embrace each moment with openness, knowing that everything is temporary and that happiness doesn't come from clinging to things. It comes from letting go, finding balance, and living in harmony with the flow of life. So, how can you start? Take it slow. Start by letting go of small attachments and observe how it feels. Over time, you'll build the inner strength and clarity to let go of bigger attachments, and in doing so, you'll find a new level of happiness and peace that you never thought possible. Compassion, the heart of Buddhist teachings. In Buddhism, compassion is considered one of the most important virtues to cultivate. It's not just about feeling sorry for others or giving them something material. True compassion goes deeper. It's about understanding the suffering of others and wanting to help them alleviate that pain, both through actions and through love. But let's start by asking ourselves a simple question. What does compassion really mean? Often, we hear the word compassion and think of it in terms of charity or helping someone in need. But Buddhism teaches us that compassion is far more than that. It's a state of being, a way of seeing the world and others around you. Compassion is about connecting with others on a deep, emotional level, recognizing their pain and offering support, not out of pity, but out of understanding and love. Imagine a time when you saw someone struggling, whether it was a friend, a stranger, or even an animal. How did you feel? Did you feel a sense of empathy? That feeling is the beginning of compassion. It's not just about doing something for someone else. It's about feeling with them. True compassion comes from a place of empathy. It's a deep, emotional understanding that leads us to want to make the suffering of others a little easier. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a beautiful term called karuna, which translates to compassion. But it's not just about feeling sorry for someone or offering them temporary relief. It's about wanting to help them achieve lasting peace, joy, and freedom from suffering. It's about understanding that we are all connected, and when one person suffers, it affects the entire world. That realization can change how we view everything. The Buddha himself taught that compassion isn't just a one-time action. It's an ongoing practice that we should integrate into every aspect of our lives. In fact, in the Mahayana tradition of Buddhism, compassion is considered so important that it is said to be the wish to liberate all sentient beings from suffering. This shows us that compassion isn't just about helping those close to us. It's about cultivating an attitude of love and care for everyone, everywhere. Let's break it down even further. True compassion isn't just an emotion. It's something that requires active participation and effort. In Buddhism, the practice of metta, which means loving kindness, is a companion to compassion. Loving kindness is about wishing well for others and seeing their well-being as important as our own. It's about wishing for their happiness and peace. When you combine loving kindness with compassion, you start to see how interconnected we all are. One important teaching in Buddhism is the idea that when you show compassion to others, you are, in fact, also helping yourself. You might think that offering kindness and support to others is a selfless act, and it is, but it's also a way to bring happiness into your own life. The act of being compassionate brings peace to your mind and heart. It softens your negative emotions and connects you to a sense of joy that comes from giving and sharing. In fact, studies have shown that practicing compassion can lead to improvements in your own mental and emotional well-being. When you show compassion to others, you increase feelings of happiness, reduce stress, and even enhance your overall health. So, it's not just good for others, it's good for you too. Let's reflect on a simple example. Think of a time when you helped someone without expecting anything in return. Maybe you lent a hand to a friend, supported a colleague, or just offered a kind word to a stranger. How did that make you feel? Chances are, it felt good. That's because acts of compassion tap into the deep, universal desire to connect and care for others. Compassion is not just limited to people, either. Buddhists believe in showing compassion to all living beings, animals, nature, and even ourselves. Sometimes, we forget to show compassion to ourselves, especially when we make mistakes or face difficult situations. But the Buddha teaches us that self-compassion is essential. You can't offer genuine kindness to others if you don't first show that same kindness to yourself. Learning to forgive yourself, to be patient with yourself, and to show yourself the same love that you would show to others is a crucial part of spiritual practice. Now, let's explore how you can start practicing compassion in your own life. The first step is simply being present. Often, we rush through life and miss opportunities to connect with others in a meaningful way. But when you slow down and pay attention to the people around you, you'll begin to notice their struggles, their challenges, and their needs. This is where compassion begins. By recognizing that others are suffering just as you are, and that they, too, need love, support, and understanding. Another way to practice compassion is through active listening. When someone is talking to you about their problems, don't just nod your head or offer a quick solution. Instead, listen deeply. Be present with them in that moment. Acknowledge their feelings and show them that you understand. Sometimes, all a person needs is someone to truly listen, without judgment or interruption. Also, remember that compassion doesn't always mean solving the other person's problems. In fact, sometimes it's more powerful to simply be there for them without offering advice or trying to fix things. Just being a source of comfort and love can make a world of difference. Sometimes, we may also feel that we're too busy with our own lives to show compassion to others. But Buddhist teachings remind us that helping others doesn't require grand gestures. It can be as simple as offering a smile, holding the door for someone, or even saying a kind word. Small actions can have a big impact. As you continue to practice compassion, you will begin to notice a shift in your own life. You will feel less stress, more peace, and a deeper connection to the world around you. By seeing others with compassion, you begin to see yourself and the world in a more positive light. In summary, compassion is the heart of Buddhist teachings because it is the foundation of all other virtues. When we practice compassion, we are cultivating love, kindness, and understanding in our hearts. And this not only benefits others, but also leads to our own happiness and peace. Compassion is a powerful tool that can transform our lives, bringing us closer to the happiness and inner peace that we all seek. So, next time you're faced with a challenging situation or see someone in need, remember that compassion is always within your reach. It's not just a concept to be learned, it's a way of life. And as you practice compassion more and more, you will find that happiness becomes a natural byproduct of your actions, no matter what happens in the world around you. The role of meditation in achieving happiness. Meditation. It's a word you've probably heard often, but what does it really mean? Why do so many wise people throughout history recommend it as a key to happiness? Let's take a closer look, not in complex terms, but in the simplest, most relatable way possible. Imagine this. You're sitting on a chair or lying down, your eyes closed, and for the first time in a long time, you're just breathing. Nothing else. No phone buzzing, no thoughts racing, no to-do lists in your head. Just the simple act of breathing in and out. Sounds easy, right? But how often do we actually give ourselves the time to do this? In our busy lives, we're constantly chasing after things, moving from one task to another, rarely stopping to be present. This is where meditation comes in. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind or trying to stop your thoughts. It's about learning to focus. It's about letting your thoughts come and go without getting tangled in them. In other words, it's about training your mind to be peaceful no matter what is going on around you. And guess what? It works. Every single person who's ever practiced meditation has noticed a shift in their mind. A calmness, a steadiness, a deeper sense of happiness. Why does meditation bring happiness? Let's break it down. Our minds are like a lake. When we're busy, our thoughts are like stones thrown into the water, creating ripples and waves, making it hard to see clearly. But meditation is like stilling the water. The more we practice, the clearer the water becomes. The clearer our minds become. We stop reacting to every wave of thought and start observing them. And with that calmness comes joy. This is a core teaching of Buddhism. To be at peace, you must first be present. Meditation helps us do just that. It teaches us how to be fully present, how to experience each moment without judgment, and how to stop ourselves from overthinking. Think about it. How often do we miss out on the beauty of the present moment because our minds are busy thinking about the past or the future? Through meditation, we train ourselves to let go of the past and future and simply be here, right now. You don't need to be an expert to start meditating. In fact, it's the simplicity of meditation that makes it so powerful. Start with just a few minutes a day. Sit in a quiet space, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold it for a second, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. Repeat. As you do, let go of any thoughts that come to your mind. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring your focus back to your breath. It's like teaching your brain how to stay still and peaceful, even when the world around you is chaotic. Buddhist monks, who have dedicated their lives to meditation, speak of a deep peace that arises from regular practice. This peace doesn't just stay on the meditation cushion. It follows them throughout their day. In every action, every conversation, every moment, they carry this inner calm with them. And that's the power of meditation. It transforms not just your mind, but your life. In the busy world we live in, stress is everywhere. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to let the pressure of life take over. But meditation teaches us how to handle stress with grace. When we meditate regularly, we learn how to respond to difficult situations calmly instead of reacting with anger, frustration, or anxiety. It's like developing a muscle. The more we practice, the stronger we become in handling life's challenges. One of the greatest gifts of meditation is that it allows us to connect with the present moment. In our fast-paced lives, we often forget to truly live in the moment. We're either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Meditation teaches us to let go of these distractions. It invites us to experience life as it is, without trying to change it or escape from it. And when we stop fighting life and simply accept it as it comes, we find peace. We find happiness. But here's the thing. Meditation isn't just about peace. It's also about awareness. When we meditate, we begin to notice things we didn't before. We become more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. We start to see how much of our suffering is caused by our own reactions. For example, when we get upset about something, it's not the event itself that causes us stress. It's the way we react to it. Meditation helps us understand that we don't have to react. We can choose how we respond. In Buddhism, there's a term called mindfulness, which is closely tied to meditation. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of what's happening in the present moment. It's not just about sitting quietly and meditating. It's about carrying that awareness with you throughout your day. Whether you're eating, walking, or talking to someone, mindfulness means paying attention to what's happening right now, without judgment. It's about truly experiencing life, moment by moment. The beauty of mindfulness is that it helps you develop a sense of gratitude. When you're fully present, you begin to notice the small blessings in your life, the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds chirping, the taste of your food. These simple things that often go unnoticed become a source of joy. Meditation helps you appreciate life more deeply, and that appreciation brings happiness. Now, you may be thinking, but I don't have time for meditation. It's a common concern. But the truth is, meditation doesn't have to take a lot of time. Even just a few minutes a day can make a huge difference. And the more you practice, the more you'll see the positive effects in your life. You don't need to be perfect at it. Just start and let the process work its magic. Meditation is a tool, a practice, and a way of being. It's not something you do for a few minutes and then forget about. It's something you integrate into your life. It becomes a part of who you are. And as you meditate more, you'll notice that the happiness you experience during your sessions will begin to spill over into the rest of your life. You'll become more patient, more peaceful, and more content. You'll find that the things that once triggered stress or anger no longer have that power over you. Remember, happiness is not something that comes from outside of you. It's not about the things you have or the situations you find yourself in. True happiness comes from within. And meditation is one of the most powerful ways to unlock that happiness. So, the next time you feel stressed or overwhelmed, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and simply meditate. It might be the best thing you can do for yourself. The middle way, balancing extremes in life. Life is often seen as a journey between two extremes, too much of one thing and not enough of another. We are constantly balancing between work and rest, pleasure and sacrifice, desires, and detachment. But how do we know when we've gone too far in one direction? How do we find that sweet spot where we can be at peace with ourselves and with the world around us? This is where the concept of the middle way comes in. In Buddhism, the middle way refers to a balanced approach to life, avoiding extremes and seeking harmony. It's not about being too strict or too indulgent. Rather, it's about finding a path that nurtures your well-being without going overboard. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you're at a buffet with endless food choices. On one hand, you could eat everything in sight. indulging in every dish without any thought of your health or well-being. On the other hand, you could deny yourself any pleasure, refusing to enjoy anything at all because you're too focused on self-discipline. Both extremes are harmful. The middle way teaches us to enjoy the food without overindulging, choosing what nourishes us, savoring the experience, and stopping before we feel too full. It's the same with every area of life. In everyday life, we often find ourselves caught between two extremes: work and play, leisure and responsibility, success and failure. All of these can feel like opposites that we struggle to manage. The middle way invites us to find a balance. It's about not overworking yourself, but also not being lazy. It's about enjoying life's pleasures without becoming addicted to them. It's about cultivating inner peace without retreating from the world. In Buddhism, the Buddha himself discovered the middle way after years of practicing both extremes. He first tried living a life of extreme indulgence, seeking pleasure in wealth, food, and comfort. Then, he went to the other extreme, where he denied himself all pleasures and subjected his body to harsh conditions, thinking that this would lead him to enlightenment. But neither approach brought him true peace. It was only when he found the balance, the middle way, that he discovered the path to wisdom and inner peace. So how can we apply this principle to our own lives? It starts with being mindful of where we are overindulging or depriving ourselves. If you find yourself working non-stop, ask yourself, am I giving my body and mind the rest they need? If you're constantly chasing material things, ask yourself, is this bringing me true happiness, or am I just filling a void? Similarly, if you've been avoiding responsibilities or pleasures, ask, am I avoiding what will help me grow and find peace? The key to the middle way is mindfulness. When we are present and aware of our actions, we can better understand when we are veering into an extreme. This awareness allows us to make choices that align with our true well-being. It's not about rigid rules, but about flexibility, knowing when to push forward and when to pause, when to act and when to rest. Another aspect of the middle way is understanding the impermanence of all things. We often get attached to outcomes, whether it's our career, relationships, or personal achievements. We want success, recognition, or material wealth, and we believe that attaining these things will bring us happiness. But attachment to these external things can lead to suffering. When things don't go as planned, or when we lose what we've gained, we become unhappy. The middle way teaches us to enjoy life's pleasures without becoming attached to them. We can still work towards our goals, pursue our passions, and seek success, but we do so with the understanding that these things are not permanent. When we become too attached to outcomes, we set ourselves up for disappointment. But when we practice detachment, we can appreciate the moment, live fully, and let go without fear or regret. This balance allows us to enjoy life without being controlled by our desires or fears. The Buddhist teachings emphasize that the middle way is not just about avoiding extremes. It's also about avoiding extremes in our thinking. Often, we see life in black and white. Something is either good or bad, right or wrong. But in reality, life is full of shades of gray. People are not all good or all bad. Situations are not always clear-cut. By accepting the complexities of life, we can find peace even in difficult circumstances. When we stop judging everything as either good or bad, we create space for compassion and understanding. In Buddhism, the middle way is also closely tied to the concept of wisdom. It's not just about balancing actions, but also cultivating wisdom in our thoughts and attitudes. Wisdom is the ability to see things as they truly are, without being clouded by personal desires or biases. This means accepting both the pleasant and the unpleasant with equanimity, understanding that both are part of life's natural flow. Wisdom allows us to let go of our need for control and to embrace life's uncertainties with peace. The beauty of the middle way is that it can be practiced in every aspect of life. Whether you're facing challenges in your career, your relationships, or your health, the middle way offers a way to navigate through these challenges with balance. Instead of striving for perfection or avoiding difficulties altogether, you can approach life with openness and flexibility. You can work hard, but also rest when needed. You can pursue your dreams, but without becoming overly attached to them. You can experience joy, but without clinging to it. Ultimately, the middle way is about creating harmony within yourself and with the world around you. It's about understanding that life is a dynamic flow of experiences, and rather than forcing yourself into a rigid path, you can find peace by going with the flow, balancing effort and ease, action and stillness, attachment and detachment. In your daily life, you can start by asking yourself a few questions. Are there areas where I'm pushing too hard or holding back? Where can I find more balance? What am I clinging to that is causing me stress or anxiety? These simple questions can help you reflect on where you might be veering into extremes and help you recalibrate your approach to life. As you practice the middle way, you will notice that your life becomes more peaceful, more harmonious. You will be able to face life's ups and downs with equanimity, finding joy in the journey rather than in the destination. The middle way teaches you that happiness doesn't come from avoiding challenges or extremes, but from finding balance, peace, and wisdom in the midst of it all. So, as you continue on your path, remember that the middle way is always there, guiding you toward a life of balance and inner peace. It's a path of mindfulness, wisdom, and flexibility, one that helps you stay centered no matter what comes your way. Embrace the middle way, and watch your life transform as you find peace in every moment. Practicing gratitude and contentment. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt content? Not the fleeting joy of buying something new or achieving a goal, but a deep sense of peace and satisfaction with what you already have. It's rare, isn't it? Yet, contentment is one of the most profound ways to experience lasting happiness. Gratitude and contentment are like two sides of the same coin. Gratitude is the practice of appreciating what you have, and contentment is the state of being satisfied with it. Together, they form the foundation for a happy life. But in today's world, where we are constantly bombarded with messages about what we lack, whether it's a better car, a bigger house, or even more followers on social media, finding gratitude and contentment feels harder than ever. Let's start with gratitude. At its core, gratitude is about noticing the good in your life, no matter how small. It's easy to take things for granted, isn't it? We often forget to appreciate the roof over our heads, the meals we eat, or the people who care about us. But when we take a moment to recognize these blessings, we realize just how much we already have. Gratitude opens our hearts and shifts our focus from what's missing to what's present. Here's a simple exercise. Every night before you go to bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for that day. They don't have to be big. Maybe it's the way the sunlight came through your window in the morning, or the kind words of a stranger. Over time, this practice can transform the way you see your life. Contentment, on the other hand, is the ability to rest in the present moment without yearning for something else. It doesn't mean you stop striving for improvement. It means you're at peace with where you are, even as you work toward where you want to be. Contentment is the antidote to the endless chase for more. Buddhism teaches us that the root of unhappiness is craving, our constant desire for things to be different than they are. When we learn to let go of this craving and accept life as it is, we discover a profound sense of contentment. This doesn't mean you can't have goals or dreams. It simply means you're not attaching your happiness to their fulfillment. Let's take a moment to reflect on a common situation. Imagine you're at a party, and you see someone who seems to have it all: the perfect job, the perfect partner, the perfect life. It's easy to feel envious, isn't it? But what if, instead of comparing yourself, you turned inward and reminded yourself of everything you already have? The warmth of your friendships, the achievements you've worked hard for, the simple joys of your day. That shift in perspective can turn envy into appreciation. Gratitude and contentment are not just abstract ideas. They're practical tools you can use every day. For example, when you're faced with a difficult situation, try to find something positive about it. Did it teach you a lesson? Did it reveal a strength you didn't know you had? This doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending everything is fine, but it does mean looking for the silver lining. Another way to practice gratitude is through acts of kindness. When you give to others, whether it's your time, attention, or resources, you cultivate a sense of abundance. It's a reminder that you have enough to share, and it deepens your connection with the world around you. Contentment also comes from simplifying your life. The more you focus on what truly matters, the less you feel the need to chase after things that don't. Take a moment to reflect. What brings you genuine happiness? Is it material possessions, or is it experiences, relationships, and moments of peace? Buddhist teachings remind us that the path to contentment begins with mindfulness. By staying present, we can appreciate the beauty of each moment without getting lost in thoughts of the past or worries about the future. The present moment is where life happens, and when we learn to be fully present, we discover that happiness is not something we need to seek. It's already here. Let me share a simple story to illustrate this. There was once a farmer who lost his only horse. His neighbors came to console him, saying how unlucky he was. The farmer simply replied, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it several wild horses. The neighbors congratulated him on his good fortune, and again he said, "Maybe." Then, the farmer's son broke his leg while trying to tame one of the wild horses. The neighbors expressed their sympathy, but the farmer said, "Maybe." Soon after, soldiers came to the village to recruit young men for war, but the farmer's son was spared because of his injury. The farmer's response? Maybe. This story reminds us that life is a mix of ups and downs, and our happiness doesn't have to depend on external circumstances. When we practice gratitude for what we have and contentment with where we are, we can find peace in any situation. As you go through your day, remember this. Happiness isn't about having more, it's about wanting less. It's about finding joy in the little things, appreciating the beauty of the present moment, and letting go of the constant need for more. Gratitude and contentment are not destinations. They're a way of life. And the more you practice them, the more you'll discover the happiness that's been within you all along. So, pause for a moment. Look around you. What can you be grateful for right now? What can you accept with contentment? These simple practices can transform your life, one moment at a time. Conclusion: embodying happiness, sharing wisdom. As we come to the end of this journey, let me ask you something. What have you learned? Have you noticed a small shift in how you see the world, or even how you see yourself? Remember, wisdom is not just about knowledge. It's about living what you learn. It's about taking the teachings of happiness and making them a part of who you are. Life is like a flowing river. It's always moving, always changing. You cannot stop the current, but you can choose how to swim in it. Some fight the flow, resisting every turn and twist. But those who learn to move with the river find peace, even in the strongest currents. This is the essence of happiness, to flow with life, not fight against it. The teachings of Buddhism are not just ancient philosophies or words in a book. They are a guide, a light that shows you the path when everything seems dark. When you understand that suffering comes from within and that peace also lies within, you realize that your happiness is entirely in your hands. Every time you choose kindness over anger, patience over frustration, and gratitude over dissatisfaction, you are embodying happiness. You are showing the world what peace looks like. You are becoming a living example of what it means to live with wisdom. But the path doesn't end here. The journey to happiness is lifelong. Each day, you have a choice. Will you react with anger, or will you respond with understanding? Will you cling to what you cannot control, or will you let go and find freedom? These small choices shape your life, moment by moment. As a Zen master, I can tell you that true happiness is not about escaping life's challenges. It's about embracing them with an open heart. It's about seeing the beauty in every moment, even the difficult ones. Because every challenge is a teacher, and every hardship is an opportunity to grow. And here's the most important lesson. Happiness is not something to keep for yourself. When you find peace, share it. When you feel joy, spread it. The world is hungry for kindness, for love, for understanding. And when you give these freely, you don't lose them. You create more of them, both for yourself and others. Imagine this. You are walking through a forest with a candle in your hand. The flame is your wisdom, your happiness. Along the path, you meet others whose candles are unlit. When you share your flame to light their candles, does your light grow dimmer? No. Instead, the forest becomes brighter. There is a saying in Buddhism, thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. So, I encourage you, be that candle. Spread light wherever you go. Teach others what you have learned, not just with your words but through your actions. Let your life be an example of what it means to live with peace, compassion, and wisdom. Before we part, I want to remind you of one thing. Your journey doesn't end here. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep seeking. And remember, happiness is not a destination. It is a way of traveling. Finally, I want to thank you for walking this path with us. Your presence, your willingness to listen, and your openness to learn have been a gift. And if you found value in these teachings, don't keep them to yourself. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of you have subscribed. If these lessons have touched your heart, if they've helped you in any way, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Wisdom Woven. Together, we can spread these teachings to more people and light up the world with wisdom and compassion. As you move forward, remember this. You have the power to create happiness, not just for yourself, but for everyone you meet. Embody the wisdom you've learned. Share it freely. And above all, never forget, you are the source of your own peace. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until we meet again, may you find joy in every moment and wisdom in every step.